Jack says, Steve, he's drinking it right now. It's excellent.
Perfect. Love it.
All right, we have to do.
Here we are. We're live.
We have to do this first, though, right? Give me 1 second, because we have to do this. I got to do the opening here.
Drum roll intro.
Yeah, we got to do this. So before we start, here's this.
Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, what are we going to taste today? With your host, David Kaye, special guest and sommelier. Spend some time on Hollywood and wine.
It's time for Hollywood and wine.
Oh, that's our producer Jack's voice. Hey everyone, we're here. Hello.
Another episode
of Hollywood and Wine.
Virtual episode.
It's what's the what is we calling it?
The virtual episode.
The VT.
Or VT. VT and wine.
Virtual tasting. Yeah. So on Hollywood and Wine, we generally, because I'm in the animation industry and voiceover world, we usually have a special guest. We've had Tom Kenny on, who's been SpongeBob. We had Lori Allen we did a tequila episode. We did an episode with D. Bradley Baker, who's the fish
Teen Titans crew.
Who else?
We have the Teen Titans crew with
Titans crew,
Tara and Kari.
Yeah, Kari Payton. So we can't go anywhere right now. So we did one last week, and a special guest, Rob Paulson, jumped on. And I have another special guest we're going to be featuring here in a second. But first, let's bring on our winemaker. This is some history going on here. Steve Tonella, all the way from Rutherford. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Of course, to Tonella Cellars, and this wine. I fell in love with this wine. We did a wine dinner in the neighborhood here when we could all get together. Remember that? That was so much fun. The old days. And you came down, and your beautiful wife, Arananda, came down, and we poured in our backyard. We had a special guest, too, a winemaker from Somnium up there in Napa, and we had a ball and just fell in love with your wine right off the bat. And so before we get into it, you watch cartoons, of course, like us all. Is there any one in particular that sort of comes to mind as your favorites, or you like to watch?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going way back here because I never was much of an aficionado, but I was thinking earlier today, what was my first lunch pail? And my first lunch pail was Fat Albert. So
yeah,
I really love that. I love the the camaraderie, the youngster shenanigans and all that. So yeah, Fat Albert is one that came to mind.
Okay.
Roadrunner was another one of them. Is that right?
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorites.
And then I think there's one, the third and final one was, I don't think it showed anymore, but it was called Pecos Bill.
Pecos Bill.
And, I used to have a little Disney record player, right? And we used to listen to Pecos Bill, and, there'd be a sound, and then you turn the page and all that good stuff. But, I was looking at a cartoon of Pecos Bill because I was thinking, I want to be prepared for this. I don't think they showed anymore because Pecos Bill, he'd like ride the storm, and then he'd stick out his tongue, and there'd be like a cigarette paper, and then he'd pour the tobacco in, and then he'd put it in his mouth, and it would come out a cigarette, and he'd smoke it. So I don't think that's right for kids, but anyway, it was a good one.
Did you ever watch any Bugs Bunny?
Absolutely. Sorry, that was actually the first one I was going to say, and that's just iconic. I mean, it's Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, all that. We all grew up with that.
Well, guess
4 or 5 channels.
Guess what? Guess who's here? Eric Bauza.
And what's up, Doc? I heard that you mentioned the Roadrunner, and he's a co-star of mine. He didn't get many lines though of dialogue, just and then he was on his way.
Unbelievable.
But how you guys doing? How's your pandemic, Doc?
Eric, thanks for coming, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. I honestly think Bugs is the most prepared for a situation like we're all in right now because he lives in a hole in the ground. So you can't get much more isolated than Bugs Bunny.
You're social.
Now Daffy, on the other hand,
You see, Daffy here. He's like, please, someone speak to me. I haven't talked to anyone in weeks. I'm going bananas here.
But I think we all can relate to being a little loony in these last couple days.
Yeah.
But how are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I just got to say, Steve, the new voice of Bugs Bunny is a Filipino Canadian.
And if you listen closely, that's Mel Blanc spinning in his grave.
No, just kidding. That's the best part about voiceover is that you never know. You could be walking down the street from Optimus Prime, for instance, or Bugs Bunny. You just never know. And when they strangers on the street ask, or just anyone that you encounter about cartoons, they find out that you're this iconic character. Their eyes light up, and suddenly they're just back to being a kid again. And it's a wonderful honor to have, but it is a gift, and it is fun to share with people that are fans of the original. Of course, Mel Blanc will never be replaced. I'm the sixth guy to be Bugs Bunny.
Man, you're doing a hell of a job. Hey,
Yeah,
Steve,
like you said, that's a great
I-
honor. It's an icon of a part. So
Yeah.
God, Steve, did your wife is from Spain?
Yeah, from Barcelona.
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 Were they exposed to Bugs Bunny over there, or did they know Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, they had the versions of Bugs Bunny. It was iconic cartoon then, and I think it's still going.
Is she there today? Is her
She's around? She's around. She might make a guest.
She won't walk by the camera and just say she won't even walk.
She may.
She might.
It'll be a guest appearance.
we'll do the slow walk by.
Yeah, do the slow walk by. But listen, we got to start getting into this wine. Eric, you're welcome to hang out and learn a bit about this stuff if you want. You want to hang out?
Absolutely.
Oh, perfect. If Bugs is going to hang out, Eric Bauza's here.
I got my Space Jam mug full of
a coffee. That's my wine for the day. I'm a coffee connoisseur.
All right.
I know David. I was honored to be a guest at David's daughter's wedding and the reception. They were just opening bottles of wine from, I don't even know how old they were, David. They were the smoothest, and I'm not even a big drinker. They were the smoothest tasting wines I've ever had. And I was like, wow, are you sure you want to be wasting this on me? I mean, like, they were really, really fine wines.
There was some fun stuff. There was some fun stuff there. So, Steve, now you, there's some history here in Rutherford. Take us back here, because people got to understand that they think of California as New World, of course, in the New World, but there's a lot of history here. And you're telling me a little bit about how you got to where you are now as a winemaker.
Yeah, so it's kind of an old New World history here. So we had a big earthquake in 1906, the big San Francisco earthquake, and San Francisco was virtually destroyed. So they were advertising all the major European newspapers, and my great uncle read the Corriere di Milano. He's from northern Italy, and they were advertising for workers. And he said, "That's for me." I think he was in his 20s, so he basically borrowed some money and left everything he knew. And long story short, he spent a couple of days in San Francisco. He didn't like it much. He had an uncle that was in Rutherford. He went up there. He met somebody at lunch named George de la Tour. He's the original owner of Beaulieu Vineyards. And this was January 1907, I believe, or a little bit thereafter.
Yeah.
My great uncle spoke French. George de la Tour didn't speak much English, so they got on pretty well. Long story short, he was there at Beaulieu which is an iconic Rutherford winery, continuously producing since the year 1900. And so he was there 43 years. And he was the first winemaker there. He made the first internationally recognized Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa Valley, which was 1936. And something that Eric just mentioned, like, you're the I think you said the sixth voice of Bugs Bunny. In the Beaulieu history, there's only been about 5 winemakers. So there's been a really long tenure. Joseph Ponti, as you can see on the screen here, perhaps.
Yeah, now tell me who he is again.
He was my great uncle.
He's your great uncle. Okay.
Great uncle, yeah.
Oh, look at that, huh?
Amazing.
Yeah, the suspenders.
And what year was that about?
This is somewhere after, I would say it's in the 1920s, 1930s, perhaps, maybe a little bit later. I think that was a little bit later.
Later, and this picture here is great. Look at
My favorite picture. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Western Rutherford. So we call it the Rutherford bench. It has different soil types, very gravelly, a little bit, the soil types, there's very diverse soil types, but in Rutherford here, in this particular area of Rutherford. And Rutherford, for those of you who don't know, is basically the center of Napa Valley. It's the widest part. It gets the most ambient sunlight, warm days, cool evenings. So it's ideal for Bordeaux varietals. So it has a terroir that really supports varietals native to Bordeaux. And so that was just a planting. I think that was in about 1930, 38.
Wow. Those vines are sort of all over the place. Was that before or after phylloxera? Phylloxera came out, when was that?
Yeah, it was a little bit after. And they used to plant the rootstocks and then graft on the varieties to it, the varietal clones. Now they do the rootstock and the graft all in one. They do it in nurseries. So this was a little bit more old school. It's definitely more labor intensive, but the roots take hold a lot better with rootstock first and then grafting on the clones.
Wow. And so your history, family history, grape growers, right? Mm-hmm. When did you start making wine? When did that happen?
Well, I say, I started making wine for friends in the 90s, but I say I went pro in 2010. So that was my first vintage. And so, we're 10 years into it. It's hard to believe. And yeah, so it's the 10th year. I started out with, about 236 cases of Cabernet Sauvignon from Rutherford. I held it for 5 years, sold out in 6 weeks. So I thought, hey, that's a good indication.
That's not bad.
Keep going.
I still have one, I still have one downstairs.
I barely have. You probably have more than I have. I think I have six bottles and a couple magnums. So, it's a fantastic wine. Everybody asks me how long will your wines age for? And, I say 25, 30 years, but honestly, I don't know. But I will tell you that the 2010s are, drinking fabulously. I know I'm biased because it's my own product, but they're really aging quite nice. And, I'm really proud to have put that on. Kind of resurrected the winemaking aspect to it, because I think, great wines come from great vineyards, and wine is really made in the vineyard. So
right.
If I can carry that process forward into the finished bottle, then, I've done my job.
Who is that? Is this a historic winemaker? I don't know why I have that on my. I have
Alfred E. Newman.
It's Alfred
the Mad Magazine man.
That's not Rutherford history. Now we got to bring in our Psalm to the Stars, Pierson Ryan. So,
yes.
So listen, let's start the tasting. Drink, take it away, Pierson.
Let's drink some wine, sure.
Yeah.
So first we have, your 2018 Reserve Sauvignon Blanc, Steve. As you were just saying, Rutherford is phenomenal for Bordeaux varietals. For not many people that know, Sauvignon Blanc is the white Bordeaux varietal. So, and with all your travels over in Europe and down in Argentina, what would you say, you kind of were going for with your style in the Sauvignon Blanc?
Yeah, I mean, I always go back to wine is made in the vineyards. We control the viticultural process. So, we get the right ratio of, sunlight, of crop. We manage each vine by hand. So, usually with conventional farming, it's more, mechanization, but we go through each vine by hand. So every vine is a little bit different. There's a little bit different vigor, different aspects to pruning and cultivation. And so we really want to manage that process, because really, if I can harvest at the right time, then, I really can I've really done my job, and then it's just don't mess it up, right? Don't mess up the rest of the process.
So the Sauv Blanc, not to, people don't like, that's not one of the first thing that comes to mind. But the thing about Pierson, and back me up on this, is about the the New World is in Burgundy and in France, you can only grow certain things. It's determined that you can't grow all this other stuff. But in California and here, we can pretty much grow whatever you want. Just Gewürztraminer and Riesling and some damn good stuff out there that people forget. So when I first had this, I was blown away. So where are these great? Because the acidity here, Pierson, I got some nice acidity, higher elevation. Where are these grapes?
Really, really great acidity to it. You get those bright citrus notes. It's like, blowing up with some nice orange peel, characteristics on the palate and on the nose. That nice kind of like white flowers in there as well. It's great. I wish I had some sort of like spicy dish with it, to have. Would be a great pairing. I had some spicy last night. I wish I had it now.
Yeah. This wine has really taken hold in for those types of dishes, Japanese cuisine, raw preparations. I have a Tokyo club. This is the first thing that they've acquired. Also, this is actually really quick story. Sometimes, I'm pretty much all direct clients. So, but, I called the French Laundry. It's a 3-star Michelin restaurant. I said, I think I have some pretty good wines. Do you want to try them? And I'll do a tasting with you. And they said, well, can you drop off samples? And usually I say no, flat out, right? But it was a French Laundry, and they want to try it. So long story short, I dropped it off. Never thought I'd hear back from them again. And long story short, it's on their tasting menu. Unfortunately, they're not open right now, but it was on their tasting menu. They acquired it along with the cab and a few other varietals that I have. So, David, to answer your question, it's valley floor. So there's no really elevation, but we control the canopy. So it does get that flex sunlight. It doesn't really get direct sunlight. Allows it to mature slowly. And it really, there's about 15% Semillon. So that's a even less known varietal, but it brings some fatness, some richness on the palate. And we want to harvest it where, you still retain that acidity, but you get a little bit more mature fruit profile. The climate is a little drier and a little warmer than Bordeaux. So we get a little bit more mature fruit profiles, and it's all aged in 100% French oak. It's the lightest toast of French oak. So the goal of the oak program is that it adds texture and layers to the wine.
Right. We got to hook back up to Facebook here.
We can always post it after we're recording.
Yeah, we will post this backward, but the feed. So we're just going to continue on here. But
apparently it's good now.
It's back.
It's good now.
It's back.
Also, if you guys want, I could Postmate you any kind of food while we record. It's up to you. I mean,
I see.
Oh, there you go.
You said you wanted something spicy. I could.
Yeah.
Send over some spicy tuna over crispy rice. It's always good.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
That's teaching right now.
Now I'm getting hungry.
It's been a while since I've had a good piece of sushi.
That'd be great with that. I mean, I'm just getting us back up here, and I know it was fine. I just want to get us back up here on Facebook.
So, Steve, I have a question. Have you been the owner of that vineyard since your great uncle then?
Yeah, it's been in my family, and so we've been farming and wine growing for all that time. So my family's always had vineyards in Rutherford, and since a very young age, I've been exposed to the vineyards, and so I feel like it's kind of in my blood, and wine has always been on the table. So I feel like I always say I like the smell of pumice in the morning. That's like after when it's fermenting in Napa during harvest. There's all these great aromatics that are coming everywhere. So for me, it's just part of, I think it's just in my blood, basically.
It's in your blood. It's in your heritage. That's pretty amazing. And and as far as keeping, you talk about soil quality. I'll ask a dumb question. Like, has that pretty much been the same soil value? You guys have done nothing to improve or soup it up, or it's kind of just soil is soil. You guys have maintained it that many decades. It's been the same soil.
Yeah, we haven't done too much amendments to it. Sometimes what we do, if there's deficiencies in it or we want to add something to it, we do kind of cover crops. We farm organically. and sustainably, obviously, because we do it by hand. So that basically means it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, we've been really, it's very gravelly soil. So it's very poor soil, which is good. And we augment that sometimes if there's micro ingredients that are missing, we can do that naturally through additions in irrigation.
Cool.
It's amazing, like how, you talk about voiceover and as far as like sampling a voice versus sampling flavors and textures in wine. It's like you are like a voiceover artist, but in a different field. You talk about certain notes you're hitting and taste and palate. It's kind of amazing how intricate, your taste buds are as far as like, we might have to change up this ingredient in the soil to make it, taste this way down the vine. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels.
Winemaker styles, they really come in, to value, because I'm sure Steve can attest to this. Steve has his vineyard, but the vineyard directly next to him 5 feet away might not make as good of wine because, it's not the quality, winemaker there, or they're not growing the grapes the same way. It really does make a difference who's making the wine too. It's not just the land. So,
and obviously having this much sun, in California can't hurt, right? Like all year round.
Not at all. No, it's Sauvignon Blanc weather 10 months out of the year. So,
okay, let's go to the next wine. So
the next wine. So the next wine we have is his 2017 Cabernet.
Mm-hmm.
Give a little bottle shot here.
Oh, this is good.
It was great. I've had it here sitting in the glass for about an hour now, I'd say. You obviously get those great ripe black fruits in there, that nice little kind of coffee tone in the back finish of the nose, and a little leather comes out really, really great. Steve, do you blend this with anything? A lot of people do a little Merlot, or is this 100% cab for you?
This vintage is 100% cab. The vines are about 22 years old, so it's not really old vine, but it's definitely not young vine. It's kind of in the mature phase. We get very low production off this vineyard, and it's 2 Bordeaux clones known for their small berry size. You get a lot of extraction, natural extraction from the skin, so you get a nice, deep, rich color. And it's 18 months in French oak with a medium toast or less. A lot of the tannins come from the skin, so want to make sure that the oak is framing the wine, giving it a little extra spice rack, a little bit of fine tannins, and just letting the wine take its course. Really,
it's really good.
It's really, really nice. Yeah, and as you were saying earlier, I mean, I can easily see this wine sitting around for 25 years before I get it.
It's got that classic, that mint in there on the nose, eucalyptus, that typical 100%, Cabernet.
Yeah,
a little bit of pyrazines in there as well. You get that?
It's really, you have, kind of the red fruit, black fruit, a little bit of spice, and I like the way you guys are describing it because it's evolving, right? So Pierson has had it in his glass for a while, so it really evolves. It drinks, to me at least, like a Cabernet, but it does have that evolution. You have different clones, a couple of different exposures. So, really, I love the way it evolves in the glass, and
that's amazing.
How food friendly it is. So I'm really
the finish is really great on it. I mean, I think I took like a sip and a half, and it's still lingering. It's really, really great. The tannins are nice and supple, but they're soft at the same time. So like, I don't have a nice juicy steak in front of me right now to go with it, but it's fine. It's not too harsh. It's not too hot on the finish or anything like that.
Oh, fantastic! This is really, really good. What are the before we get to the next one? How do people pick up the wine? How do they order it? How can they get some?
We allocate twice a year. Our allocation is closed, but if you're so inclined, please just contact us at info@srtcellars.com, and maybe you can put it in the notes.
We'll do that. And if you know someone, if you happen to know someone who knows someone, that maybe we can just throwing that out.
Absolutely.
That's just really good. So 100% cab. So let's move on to the next one. What do we got?
So now we have his Bordeaux varietal blend. Is that right, Steve?
That is absolutely correct.
His BDX. Now, do you, not a lot of people know or think about it, but Malbec was an old Bordeaux varietal. Do you use a little Malbec in there as well, or no?
Yeah, there's Cabernet Sauvignon, Cap Franc, Malbec, and a little bit of Petit Verdot. Honestly, when you get to the last few blends, after you've been blending and tasting all these different wines for so many weeks, I could be a percent or two off.
Sure.
So,
no Merlot, though.
No Merlot. We start with all the 5 noble red Bordeaux varietals, and then we just blend them to make the best of the vintage. I actually made this wine for 7 years before I did my first bottling. So I tested over 30 different vineyards, different parts of different vineyards, and I really found the ones that I really liked. And so now I can really. The first bottling was 2016. This is 2017. And
now 2017, that was the fire. There was big fires. So obviously your grapes got in before. You were one of the lucky ones that got the grapes in. Did you lose anything during the fires at all, or no?
No. We're valley floor, so if you're up in the hills, where you didn't have access, that's where people got kind of hit. And then you get the smoke taint, which we don't like to talk about. But first of all, about 80, maybe 85% of Napa Valley was already harvested before the fires. We picked the first day of the fire. So there really wasn't any impact. The only impact for us was just power at the winery, but we had the foresight to have a generator. So were we good or were we lucky? I think we're maybe a little bit of both, to be honest with you. So we were very fortunate during that period.
I got a question from Amy Larkowski. She says, is the 2017 100% Cabernet or a Bordeaux style blend? So the 2017 is 100% Cab that we had, that one. And
that was the varietal.
A Bordeaux blend again is Cabernet Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot. What was the other one? Malbec. Some Malbec in there. Yeah, it's really, really, really nice. This I noticed. So the higher elevations is more. Sometimes the fruit you got to pick later, and on the valley floor you pick early. You pick around. Is it end of August generally because the grapes ripen quicker?
Well, I don't want to geek out too much here, but we prune late, and so we're 2 to 3 weeks behind everybody else. So we'll pick in October, sometimes even the first week of November. So we ripen a little bit later. We take advantage of the cooler temperatures in late October. And
so that's why then there's a great acidity, a great electricity to the wine because you pick later. And so that's what the balance here is great because on the floor, sometimes it has a lot to do with the soils, correct?
There's a lot of factors going on there.
There's a lot. Yeah, I know this. We can give
so many factors, the different oak barrels they use, the soil, the different, methods they do once they've picked the grapes. Like Steve said, some people, they try not to do much because you can overdo it. So, but this blend is really nice. It's like, Steve, I've had the Cabs, but this is, Eric, I don't know. This wine, if you can taste it, it's the softness, the acidity. You want a burger. You want to.
Right. Something like a meaty kind of like balance to it to kind of accent the flavor. Like I said, Smokehouse is still open for delivery. I could leave a nice steak on your porch tonight.
Oh, please. Please.
The ribs.
Oh, the ribs.
Oh, man, the ribs are so good.
It's really, really phenomenal. And it's really, I've tasted through most of the vintages and it's an amazing, and it's you. You're it. You're the guy. You're it, right?
It takes a village. My name is on the label, but there's a lot of people who came before me. It is basically why I'm here. So I would love to say like, hey, I did this all myself and, moved all the barrels like Superman and all that good stuff. But I work with a good team now. My wife does all the social media, so she's really exposing the brand there. We've been all pretty much organically. I work with some consulting winemakers now. Jean Hoffliger, who's come on. He's from Switzerland originally. He has a lot of old world experience, new world.
Alpha Omega.
Yeah. So
Marie and I did punch downs on my 50th birthday. I helped one morning at the winery over there.
Yeah, he's excellent. And then I have some people just helping me with operations and things like that. But I mentioned we did about 236 cases in 2010. We're up to 2,000 now. So I'm not good at math, but that's almost 10x. Mostly allocated to private clients. We're growing. We definitely want to introduce it to new folks who really enjoy wine. And I always say the favorite part of what I do is all those decisions up in the harvest and then opening the wine. So the bookends of the wine business. I mean, open up the wine and sharing it. This is the favorite part of what I do.
It's phenomenal. I got to. On this show, I think moving forward, we always like to feature. We featured Trombetta a couple of weeks ago, and it's family-owned, small. I love the boutique wineries and the stories and the history and meeting you and there's a relationship now between the customer and the client. I think it's important in the wine industry. There's a connection, and once you have the connection in the story, what's in the glass becomes special. So you can sit for a minute, and people sometimes don't understand, but you sit and you're kind of thinking of everyone involved and the work that went into just making this. It seems quite romantic, but there's a lot of hard ass work, and you understand this is farming. This is hard work. It's farming, and it's a lot of, I think Legier Meredith that does a wine up there, Carol Meredith, and her and her husband, they've been through earthquakes and the fires, and she said something to the fact that, as a farmer, you live pretty much every day under a veil of uncertainty. And I think where we are now currently under the pandemic and the stay at home and what's happening in the world, we are all farmers. We have no idea what the harvest is going to, we haven't got a clue. So really you're depending on nature to move forward and to help us. So anyway, what I'm getting down to is farming is hard work, and it's an honor to taste the hard work in the glass.
It's delicious. We have another quick question. It said, would you suggest decanting the 2017 Reds for a bit? If yes, for how long? They're signing up for the mailing list now, dying over watching us drink all the red wine.
Well, listen, I'm not a sommelier. I don't play one on any platform. And I don't know a lot of the rules as well. So
there are no rules.
There are no rules. And I personally don't decant. I like to let it open up in the glass. If you're going to drink it within 30 minutes and you want it to be ready and aerated,
I used the Coravin today.
Yeah.
The Coravin as well. So the wine keeps fresh in the bottle. I don't need to open a whole bottle.
Yeah. So I think it's a personal choice. Really, I like to do this. This is my decanter, and I just like to see how it evolves. But there's nothing wrong with decanting it. Sometimes I've decanted the BDX. When you go to tastings where there's a few more people tasting it, you want it to be a little bit more ready, and you don't have the time to kind of swirl it and have like a 4-course dinner. So personal choice. It's not mandatory, but go for it if it's your thing, and just accelerate the aeration process to more of a finished wine.
I think with older vintages, you probably want to decant a little bit more. With these younger ones, this is a 2017, so it's still got that freshness on it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Like I said, I just let this sit here in my glass for like an hour before we started the video. So
yeah, I had likewise. I got these. We have one from Quebec, Marie Soleil. Hi, Marie Soleil. She says, "Thank you for sharing your passion," and she's nailed that, because I have a passion for voiceover. Bauza, you and I worked together for years, and it's an honor to be in the studio with you. By the way, I always think, why am I here with all these talented people?
Come on, David. You do so much more work in different arenas too. Not only are you in animation, but your network affiliate stuff is groundbreaking.
Well, it's passion, right? It's every day.
Absolutely.
We look forward to Monday, and the Tonellas and Steve. When I had them here to the house, we did a Toluca Lake dinner. You can see and feel the passion. Steve, you're passionate about this, and I think when you met your wife in Spain, correct? And I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, she was not in the wine industry at all, but she fell in love with your passion, and she's now she's taking orders. Is this good? Make sure we sell some wine. She's taking orders now. She knows the wine. Is that correct, or am I off?
No, you're not off. No, you're not off. become a lot more involved and, you know, really enjoys it. And I think she's really in tune with, you know, the land, the wine. Lifestyle can be a little challenging sometimes, but you know, then you have the rewards like this when you just open the bottle. And you know, when I was at your house and just opening it up with your neighborhood, I mean that's why I do what I do. I mean, it's, you know, you talk about just knowing the you know, the boutique wineries and things like that, but you know, there's a lot of culture and there's a lot of story behind every bottle. And I think, you know, if you can connect with that, that means something to you and the people enjoying it. It's not another bottle of wine. It's a piece of history. It's a piece of, you know, enjoyment. It's culture. It's friends. It's family. You know, it's spicy food. We did pizzas with, you know, that white butter from northern Italy or something. The buffalo butter. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
That's just something that everybody remembers. And
we had Noel Broner. Noel is a famous pizza guy, dough guy in Los Angeles. He has a podcast and stuff. But Noel did pizzas for us. The food was amazing. Yeah, it is all about friendships. I do have a question. I got to throw at Eric. How did you become Bugs? And it seems like an incredibly difficult process. Is there how long?
Well, I have buck teeth. I don't know if you noticed, and I just love carrots. You know, during this pandemic, they're like, "Wear your gloves." I already wear white gloves. I got lucky feet.
No, I audition like any other role that comes down through email. You just audition. And
I got to stop you there for a second, because I remember the day those came through, and I saw you. And I said, hey, I see they're, you know, casting. I said, you know what? I just basically said, passing, give it to Eric Bauza.
Oh, well, no. I mean, it's what, I mean, honestly, that was, and I remember that day. And I remember that. I remember that day because that's when I used to work out at the gym. That was a long time ago. But I'm saying when they open up these auditions, you know, this had been only the second time in 10 years that they had opened up auditions for Bugs Bunny in my career. 10 years, like a decade. So 2009, 2010, previous to that, and then just recently. So they really don't, you know, open it up to the masses that often. So
everybody says everybody does it, you know. Donald Duck, one of our co-producers, the sound, Daniel Ross, you know. Yeah. And everybody does a Bugs Bunny, everybody does an Elmer Fudd. They all do. But you realize very quickly when you start that we can all like, what's up, Doc? And that's all we can do, because going further than that, it falls off real fast. And you're what you're able to do is, and you have the character. I mean, you keep it the entire time, and that's really difficult to do. You know, so, you know,
the real test would be if Bugs had a sampling of the wine and he could go, you know, I really do detect some gunpowder from Elmer Fudd's bullets in this. Maybe he was hunting rabbits out in your vineyard.
Yeah, that would be.
You know, some hints of dynamite from Yosemite Sam, definitely. And some flowers.
Got a nice pepper.
Eric, can you write my tasting notes next time for me?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we can write it all. Daffy would be awful. You know, in case there was a drought, you could just have Daffy just reading the phone book out in your vineyard. You know?
David Kaye, 310-475.
You know, just be like a sprinkler spraying everywhere.
Yeah.
But, you know, going back to the wine and just, you know, you associate it with friendship and food. It's to some, it's a hobby, but it really is like a lifestyle. It is everything that, you know, that encompasses a whole lifestyle, not just a hobby, but, you know, you talk about friends, family, community, and food. It brings people together, you know, like people are very interested in what we're talking about just here now. So it's amazing what an impact it has on you know, just social like lifestyle and living. So
yeah, it's true. We got a hello from Vancouver, Canada. Hi, Vicky Baljan. I've got people, watching them from all over. The feed did drop off and it came back on, but we will post this whole thing back on. You can see the whole interview because there was a couple of parts that dropped off out of Facebook apparently, but we have the whole thing. We'll post it again. I'm going to wrapping this up. Steve, thank you so much for your hard work and your passion. And it's great. It's amazing you're part of this history that goes back, all the way to Italy. It makes its way to the New World, to San Francisco, to Napa Valley, and to Rutherford. It's great to see you carrying on the tradition, and the wines are just beautiful. And again, if people want to sample these wines, I like to, talk to people. There's smaller allocations than most. These are some of the wines you probably can't get at your local supermarket, or you have to kind of know someone who knows someone. And I really want people to experience Tonella Cellars. So one more time, how can folks get some wine from you guys?
Yeah, just reach out to us. I hate to say the info, it sounds really impersonal, but info@srtcellars with an S.com.
Info at srtcellars.com.
Correct.
Info@srtcellars.com. Pierson, any final words?
Oh, I mean, it was such a fun episode. The wines are great. I mean, Eric, thank you so much for coming on as well. And
thank you.
And no, I mean, they're amazing wines. I just wanted to say too, Steve, is there, outside of these three wines, do you have any other wines that you make as well, or is these the only three?
Well, I would just say stay tuned. We do have a Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc.
I have that one right there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
They're drinking it outside around the pool.
It looks like it's perspirating, which is great. So I haven't really announced this yet, but anyway, so off the menu, I do a lot of stuff off the menu for club members and things like that. So we'll have a Semillon varietal. So very low production of that. And that's not even going to be advertised, except I'm saying it now, so I guess it is. And we're going to start doing, with 2018, we're going to start doing barrel select. So we'll do barrel select Cabernet. So it's basically our favorite barrel of our Cabernet, Rutherford Cabernet. And, there'll probably be 24 to 50 cases of that. And eventually, if you can wait another year or so, we are coming out with a pure Cab Franc variety. So
I love Cab Franc. That's one of my favorites.
That. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
And Eric, anything can we watch your cartoons on where can we watch?
Well, especially the new Looney Tunes cartoons that are coming out, which is called Looney Tunes Cartoons, will be dropping on HBO Max this month, May 27th on HBO Max. And that's, I think they will have 80 11-minute cartoons, but within the 11 minutes, there's multiple shorts. So some of them are 2 minutes, some of them are 7 minutes, and it really harkens back. You want to talk about vineyards in the 1930s. I'm sure these cartoons, the original Looney Tunes, were being made at that same time, if you can imagine. And again, imagine what they were thinking back then. I mean, when we produce these cartoons now, we have the 30s and 40s to look back at. But can you imagine what they were thinking back in the 30s and 40s when they were making cartoons and wine? What were they looking at for inspiration? What were they doing? Yeah. How were they testing soils? And, how did they figure this is the time of year when the grapes would be best to harvest, all these crazy things that they must have been, experimenting with back in the day. Yeah. And it's kind of amazing to see, how far we've come from then.
Well, that's why California was laughed at until the late 70s, of course.
Oh yeah, and some of those wines now, Steve, the 70s cabs from like Inglenooks and all those wines that they're apparently just drinking phenomenally. It's a testament to how good California wines.
Yeah, are. And I did have a chance. Funny you mentioned 1970. I actually this Christmas I had a 1970 Beaulieu. So I was fortunate enough to go through. I haven't been in Beaulieu since I was a kid, and I got a kind of a walkthrough with the current winemaker. And yeah, it's just like a kid in a candy store. You see all these old library wines and things like that. But You know, I wanted to mention, because we're talking about this history and everything. We're not celebrating it, but I want to recognize that we're at the 100-year mark from the start of Prohibition. So Prohibition started about 100 years ago. It was, I think, 100 years ago. So, you know, the way they survived at Beaulieu is they made Sacramento wine for the church. So they made very strong Sacramento wine, and so a lot of more people started going to church. The priests started ordering a lot of wine. So, you know, you do what you have to do to survive, and you know, you really have to kind of innovate. And you know, a lot of times there's no reference point. I think I'm very fortunate. There's, you know, we have reference points, we have history. Certainly not like when Napoleon classified, you know, the vineyards and the houses in France, but you know, we have some sort of a reference point. And you know, I'm really an advocate for Rutherford. It produces about 11% of the wine in Napa Valley, but you know, all these other wines of the world, they're still trying to discover what's the best varietal for this different region. And you know, there's a lot of great wines in this world. So I know in this period people are drinking more. hopefully
the last 6 weeks
and to celebrate, not for other reasons. So I just I like the fact that people are enjoying more wine. We have U.S. and China have the most per capita growth potential in wine. So you know, really hope to be showing the wines.
Please tell me it's good for us. It's good for us, right? It
is absolutely good. I can't make it. I can't probably say a few things, but you know, it's.
Thank you, Dr. Steve.
Wine and food. It's it's about enjoying life. So.
There was resveratrol in red wine and all the good antioxidants. It is good for you.
That's right. Well, listen, we'll wrap this up. And yes, Eric.
I did have a giveaway for your viewers, David. Remember?
Oh yes.
Only 1 second. I'll be right back.
Oh my God, we got a giveaway. Eric and I worked on a series the first time called Coconut Fred's Fruit Salad Island way back. I was a little berry and he was a banana. That's how.
I'm sure that in the wine business there has to be something similar to like Comic-Con, where maybe you bring your wares to a public audience and maybe they get to test and, you know, compare with other flavors and labels. That for us would be Comic-Con in the animation world. We get to advertise and have fun. I call it the company Christmas party, but this year, because of COVID-19, I think that they had canceled Comic-Con. So maybe you, David, and Steve could come up with like a trivia question, maybe a fact that was said today, if the viewers were paying attention. This is a Comic-Con bag from 2019. They usually give these out to Comic-Con goers to stuff all like their toys and posters in. This is a very special one because on the back,
it has Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes cartoons.
So I will sign this and give this to any one of your viewers. If you guys could come up with any kind of trivia question about the wine that was displayed today, anything about, you know, the soil and all that stuff, and I will wipe and disinfect this and leave this on your porch to give away to one of your viewers, David. So
I have one, Steve, Ryan, Pierson. I would say, what are the varietals in the Tonella Cellars Reserve BDX? What are the great varietals inside this bottle of wine right here?
That's right, because something was missing.
So, and that was the fact that was disclosed today in the conversation.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Oh, and my sister-in-law Josie, they're in Kelowna, British Columbia. Oh, beautiful! Hi, Kelowna. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That I wanted to give that to one of your lucky viewers, and you know, in absence of Comic-Con, I wanted.
And this episode would be posted in full, so we're gonna wait a week, and then we're gonna award somebody the prize. Eric, thank you so much. Thank you all so much. Steve, thank you for coming to us from beautiful Rutherford, California, up there in Napa Valley. Pierson, our Somm to the Stars.
Thank you guys so much. Amazing wine, fun Bugs Bunny talk. I mean, what more could we want?
I know. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care.
How's everyone? Cheers.
That's all, folks.
Cheers. Oh yeah, do it, Eric. Take us out.
That's all, folks.